Trigger warning. This video deals with the topic of domestic violence. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings. I am Legacy Moon, and this is True Crime and Mysteries. Welcome back, current subscribers, new subscribers, and those of you who are here for the very first time. If you're watching me from afar, you're welcome as well. For this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am not going to be focusing on the criminal's name. I want to focus on a victim. Her name is China Mitchell. She was a victim of domestic violence. She did all of the right things, calling the police, going to court, and still her life was not spared. I'm going to play this clip so you can hear China Mitchell's story, and then we'll get into it.
You may have seen or even been helped by this woman. She was a CTA security guard, but when she needed to get guns out of the hands of her abuser, no one helped her. China Mitchell was gunned down in January. CBS 2 is always investigating, and our Marissa Perlman uncovered how so few guns are being taken away at one of the most critical points for victims of domestic violence.
Olivia Foster's big brown eyes have seen a lot of darkness in her 4 years of life. Eyes the same as her mom's, China Mitchell. And even in that darkness, she's become a bright light to her grandparents.
She always with her. She looked just like her mama.
In January, China became one of the latest domestic violence victims shot and killed by her abuser. She was just 33 years old. Her funeral packed with people wearing purple ribbons for domestic violence awareness. China was a mom who loved her 3 children. Her friends called her the diva, always dressed up.
Yeah, this was one of her favorites.
Her mom can't seem to let go of it.
Rough around and go bowling or something.
China was a helpful person. Like, she helped everybody.
Pauline McQueen and China were raised like sisters.
I used to feel like, hold on. I'm good. When I used to feel like depressed or like sad, I used to call her.
So many lives ripped apart by a gun, an ex-boyfriend, and a system that makes it hard to get guns out of the hands of abusers.
When China said, Mama, I think he gonna catch me, he gonna try to kill me.
And why
When her relationship turned violent, China walked the same path as so many other survivors into a domestic violence courtroom to get an emergency order of protection. In October 2022, in this petition, China wrote her ex-boyfriend Louis Foster beat her and threatened her, saying, "I'm going to break your neck, bitch." She says he strangled her until she was unconscious. Olivia was in her mother's arms during some of the attack. "I was bleeding on the baby," China wrote. The judge gave her the protection order.
It didn't help her. Nothing helped her.
There's something else China tried to get the judge to do. In this petition, she asked for a warrant so police could take away Foster's guns. Look at these boxes she checked. Warning, Foster has a history of violence, is suicidal, and a threat to the public.
Did China ever tell you she was scared of him?
Yeah. She was scared in the sense like, oh, he can kill me. He might gonna kill me.
So what did the judge do? Nothing involving guns. We wanted to know why and got this transcript. It is everything that was said in court that day. There's not one mention of Foster's guns.
So it was worse, I think, than being denied. It was just ignored.
Benna Crawford from Legal Aid Chicago represents domestic violence survivors. We shared with her what else our investigation uncovered.
This as a critical piece and for survivors that actually keep them safe.
Take a look at this. It's data we obtained of emergency protection orders in Cook County. Each case represents a person in immediate danger. In the last 10 years alone, nearly 112,000 emergency orders were granted. We can't tell you how many people asked for guns to be taken because we found no one tracks that. But here's what we got from the Cook County Circuit Court Clerk's office. Only 85 gun seizure warrants were granted. Just 85.
It's an inappropriately low number, but it isn't surprising to me.
But what may be surprising, judges decide whether abusers can keep their guns while blind to their criminal histories.
It's just not a position that we want judges to be in when they are making these life or death decisions.
And get this, the system makes survivors bring proof of their abuser's violent criminal history to court, a responsibility China likely didn't know she had. Foster was a felon who served time related to a gun charge and couldn't legally even own a gun.
As it turned out to be true, without the issuance of that, removing his firearms, she was likely to be seriously harmed or killed.
Police say it was here on January 15th where China saw Foster with a gun. She liked going to this pawn shop to buy and sell jewelry.
China ran around the cabinet, around the place to the bathroom. He caught China in the bathroom and shot her in the chest. And when she fell on the floor, he shot her again in the side of the head.
And you would think before he pulled that trigger, because I'm pretty sure China said, "What about Olivia?"
Louis Foster is Olivia's dad.
I'm pretending to be happy.
Just sad, kind of gloomy.
It's sad, but I'm pretending to be happy.
Kind of gloomy.
We met China's parents, Frankie Mitchell and Brenda Ferdinand, at their home on what would have been China's 34th birthday. They're now raising all three of China's young kids.
Because it seems like she never left. Yeah. But it don't seem like she's going to come back either.
She was from God. She loved everybody.
And on this birthday, Olivia remembers her mom.
Happy birthday, Mama.
And later that night, more purple.
Happy birthday, China!
China, I love you and I miss you. I tell you good night every night. And I tell you good morning every morning. And I think you're looking over me because I'm doing the best I can with your children. I love you and I'll see you later, just not yet. But please save a seat for me.
Part of the challenge China faced is Illinois' murky law involving emergency protection orders. This is a really dangerous moment for victims, yet court sources say the law is unclear as to whether judges have the authority to take away guns at that point. Lawmakers have been sitting on a bill that could help fix this problem. It's called Karina's Bill. It's been stalled for more than a year in Springfield, named after a woman gunned down by an abuser. China's accused abuser, Louis Foster, pleaded not guilty to charges of murder and being an armed habitual offender. In the newsroom, Marissa Perlman, CBS 2 News.
I chose to tell China's story because I can relate to it. I am a domestic violence survivor. I know what it's like to have to go back and forth to court, to not get any orders, to get TPOs, and then when you go to the final court date, it's being dismissed or only being given a civil contact order. I mean, it took, I don't know how many times of calling the police and going back and forth to court to get this man out of my life. And the worst part about it was that the system that was there and that I thought was protecting me, in the end, didn't protect me. When the person that I married got out of jail, the social worker, because the final time I went to court to put in an order, I got a caseworker and I had a whole system set up. And I really thought this time this is going to work. I'm going to be protected. They have a system here in our state, and I don't know about anyone else's state, but in this state, You know, if you get a TPO against someone and they get, or a PPO, and they go to jail, you know, when they get released, you're supposed to be notified that they're getting released. Not that they've been released, but that they are getting released. And so I'm walking around free and fancy. He's in jail, and that's that. I didn't even have to go to his court date because the police officers did. So I'm minding my own business one day at home. I think I maybe just came home from work or something. I don't know. And I'm minding my own business. And I get a call from the social worker. And this is evening, late in the evening. And she asks me, am I okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And she's like, you know, she tells me he has been released. And she says, you need to leave the house right now. And I'm like, what do you mean, leave the house right now? I don't understand. And she says to me, well, he was released 3 hours ago. So she says, you need to get out your house right now. So I grabbed just a few things and left the house and went to my mother's house. Well, I mean, you know, more threats came and so on and so forth. I had to then go back to court on that and to get him removed from my home, the home that I owned before I even married him. So I managed to achieve that. I get him removed from the home. But of course, I'm afraid to stay there. I mean, I don't know. I'm a single person. I'm living in my home. There's nobody here but me and my 3 cats. I don't know if he's going to come back. So I never went back to my home. That would be the same home that mysteriously burned down from arson. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But that's just a little piece of my story and why I am very passionate about this subject. I have never in my life heard of someone having to bring proof that their partner has had other violent crimes. You know, having to say he has a gun and then having to prove that. I mean, what on earth is going on here? What is the criminal justice system for? I mean, I just assume, because that is one thing that they will do here, they will run your record and see, you know, what kind of offenses you have. He had a history of violence. So I am not understanding why she had to prove anything. The only thing she should have had to prove was that she was being harassed, she was being hit, those types of things. That's the only thing she should have to prove. But having to prove his violent history, his criminal record, the fact that he has a gun, what is going on here? And I don't know if they said what state this was or not, but I don't care where it is. It's in the United States of America, and nowhere in the United States of America should a victim have to prove that not only they're a victim, but the misdeeds of their assailant. What is the police department for? What is the court system for? You mean to tell me there is not a clerk or somebody there who could run a copy of his record and hand it to the judge before the judge gets on the bench so he can review it and make his decisions based on that evidence and not on making the victim go through and prove everything, further victimizing her? Because this is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard of before. So now we have a mother who did the right things, took the right steps, or so she thought. And, you know, she's being told, oh, well, you didn't do this, that, and the third, so we can't really help you. So she's gone and she leaves 3 children behind. And I'm assuming the daughter, I believe her name was Olivia, is the child that the 2 of them had in common. So, she leaves behind 3 children that her mother and father have to raise. Where are we living? I don't understand this. I got this story off of a Chicago news station, so I'm going to have to assume that Chicago is where this happened. Chicago, y'all really, whatever bills that they have come up with or whatever, y'all really need to pass that, because a victim should not, or I should say someone who is a victim of domestic violence should not have to not only just prove that they are a victim of domestic violence, she should not have to prove her case when it comes to the history and the misdeeds of her assailant. She should not have to do that. So this bill that they've got going on, they need to get it together and get it passed, because I have never in my life heard of anyone having to go through this and be re-victimized by the system that is supposed to help her. This is why a lot of women just don't bother to report, because of what the system puts them through. It's not only victims, because I know a lot of times there are victims who are SA'd and they don't report because they are further SA'd by the system as far as I'm concerned. Well, so are domestic violence victims. I will say that domestic violence and the aid and assistance that victims get has come a long way from what they used to be. But they've got further to go, especially in Chicago. Never did I ever think I would be doing a story where a victim of domestic violence has lost her life because she didn't do her homework. This is the court's view of it, not mine. She didn't do her homework and present the appropriate information about the person who she is afraid of. Never did I ever. I wish nothing but blessings for those 3 angels that she left behind. I hope that I think his name is Lewis. I don't even know. I don't even care what the man's name is. I know last name is Foster. I don't care, because this isn't about him. This is about China Mitchell. This is about her siblings, her parents, and those 3 angels that she left behind. I thank you for listening, and once again, I am Legacy Moon. And if you are not subscribed to me, you want to go up there and hit that subscribe button and then hit the notification bell so you know when I drop my next video. Also, share the video. Let other people know that I exist. And as I always ask you, please, please, please make sure you thumbs up this video and get me in the algorithm nation.